my name is Chantel. Welcome back to my channel and thanks for hanging out with me today. So, as you guys can see by the title of this video, this video is basically me being inspired by Gavin's ASMR and also combining the dates that I promised you guys a while back over on Twitter. So I hope you guys enjoy what you guys see in this video. I will let you guys know in more detail how this is all gonna go down in a few minutes, and with that being said, I'm just gonna go ahead and roll the rest of the video. Alright you guys, so before we get into talking about the dates and me doing my makeup, I just want to explain how this video kind of came about. So I did do a poll a long time ago, I think like around April or May, where I asked you guys what you wanted to see on my channel, and the thing that won was my favorite Gavin dates. And I know I owe you guys that, and I'm sorry it took me this long. It's just when it comes to Gavin's dates, it's really hard to pick your favorites. All of them are really good. So I decided to limit myself to 10 dates, so that way I can pick and choose and not choose the whole entire thing that Gavin has of dates. And I did do it, but I didn't like how it turned out, so I was like, maybe I should just refilm this and think about it a little bit more. And then Gavin's ASMR dropped during the wedding event, and I got that one for free, by the way, because I pulled so many times that I could redeem it. And yeah, so basically I listened to that ASMR and I thought it was the cutest thing ever. It's called Makeup Challenge, if you guys want to give that a listen. And basically that ASMR was the makeup challenge that you see all these other YouTubers out there do, specifically like the beauty side of YouTube. So I was like, oh my gosh, that's really adorable. And Gavin uses blue eyeshadow. It took me a while, but then I was like, oh my gosh, I know how to do these dates. I know how to make these things interesting. And thus, here we are. I'm gonna do my makeup while using blue eyeshadow. I just thought it was a really fun concept to do, so here we are. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and shut up and let's just go ahead and do this whole eyeshadow look thing while I talk about the dates. Let's see if I can do this. So what I plan to do is recreate Raw Beauty Christie's eyeshadow look that she did with like all the blues, because first of all, I think that look is really pretty. Second of all, I'm just gonna do it like how I would do it, because I know she does it more dramatic and stuff like that, so I'm gonna keep it like less dramatic and stuff. Also, can you, like, I tried to match with the birthday card for Gavin, and let me show you guys real quick. Like, do you see that? Like the whole blue, the yellows, the black and white. Like, isn't it kind of fitting? I don't know. I don't have any like yellow on me, but still, you know? So yeah, let's just go ahead and dive into this, and let me go ahead and pull up my favorite dates. Alright you guys, so the first date that I want to talk about is the Furniture City date. So this one is one of the dates that you have at the very beginning, because I've noticed, as someone who's played Mr. Love for a while, and I noticed this fairly quickly as I was doing the dates and stuff, that these dates kind of go in order as they're listed. You kind of have to, it's better to unlock them in order, because the more you unlock them, the more like MC's and Gavin's relationship deepens. But my dumbass did not do it that way, and I just did the ones that I would get and just unlock them immediately, or sometimes I would feel like doing a different one, you know? So when I finally got around to doing the Furniture City date, oh my gosh, I really enjoyed this one. Like, out of all of Gavin's like beginning dates as he's getting to know MC, I think this one is like the cutest one by far from like the start, which is also why we're starting off with this one. And basically, Furniture City date, the reason why I love this date is, like I said, it's pretty much like the beginning stages of their relationship, and they're kind of just getting to know each other little by little. And in this date, we basically go to like what I assume is like their version of IKEA. I've never been to an IKEA, so I imagine it's something similar to that. And Gavin wants to go and buy like a lamp, and MC wants to go buy some like kitchen items. And in this date, Gavin saves you from like a shopping cart from hitting you, and he starts playing with like these little cute puppets, and I think it's like really adorable. And as MC says, this is like our first time seeing this childish side of Gavin, like this really cute, playful side of his. And that's also when we learn that Gavin really isn't a picky kind of guy. He's like super minimalistic and he just kind of gets whatever looks good. So the boy doesn't really have any preferences, which then turns into MC being like, when are we gonna find you like the perfect lamp for your house? And eventually she gets kind of tired out and she goes and like lies down on the display bed, and as she's lying down she accidentally touches like this lamp and it illuminates the whole like area that her and Gavin are in with these really pretty starry lights, and it is the most beautiful thing ever because then you get like this really pretty visual of Gavin looking at MC like so sweetly, and you see like all these pretty stars and he just looks so soft and cute. Like, oh my gosh, I melted in this moment. And MC, obviously she was like a little embarrassed and she's like, I'm gonna get up, and Gavin's like, nope, please stay with me a little bit longer. And I'm like, okay, I'll gladly stay with you forever. And then by the end of this, we learned that Gavin ended up buying this lamp. And I guess the reason why this one is my favorite date is just because of how sweet it is. Like, it's so simple, but also extremely sweet, especially because when you find out that Gavin bought that lamp, it's like so cute. Like, it makes your heart melt and you're like, oh my gosh, like he bought it because it holds a special memory now. And he can easily just turn on that lamp and just think about that day. The next date that I want to talk about that I absolutely love is the spring festival date. So this date, basically, MC asked Gavin if he could pretend to be her fake boyfriend so her family would stop bugging her about when are you gonna get a boyfriend and all that stuff. So pretty much to get her family to be quiet, she invites Gavin and pretty much asks him to be her pretend boyfriend, and Gavin's like, yeah, sure, why not? He pretty much made a good impression on her family, and immediately everyone starts to really like him and fall in love with Gavin, and they're like, oh my gosh, he's great, where did you find him? I can't remember exactly how, but basically from what I can remember from this date is he kind of starts talking about his family, or not his family, but they ask about his family, and Gavin's like, yeah, I don't see them. I don't really want anything to do with them. So things get really awkward really quick, and MC's family are like, are you sure about this guy? Because he hasn't seen his family. And MC obviously defends Gavin. Pretty much Gavin ends up redeeming himself, and he's like, look, like, I know I haven't seen my family or whatever, but because of her, I get to spend these days with her and spend this time with you guys and see what it's like to have a family. And he gives out like this really sweet speech that makes everybody cry, and I was just like, this man, I tell you, has my whole heart. And I remember him kissing her hand too in front of everybody, and it was so cute because then you get like this really pretty visual of him kissing MC's hand, and it's just by the end of it, once all of the family festivities are over, MC and Gavin have like this really sweet intimate moment, and he's like, you know, I'm always here for you if you need me as like a boyfriend. I'm here, but I mean everything that I say. I want to be with you. That date got me very teary-eyed. It was like the sweetest thing ever. Like, yes, MC and Gavin weren't dating at all, and he was just a fake boyfriend, pretend boyfriend, but man, Gavin is goals as a boyfriend. Why can't we all have a Gavin in our lives? Like, please, can I have a Gavin in my life, please? No offense to my husband, but you know, Gavin is just a sweet man. Anyway, moving on to the next date that I want to talk about, which is the romantic date, which this one is the Valentine's date. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is the date that made me fall in love with Gavin head over heels for this man, and this is the date that made me say that, yep, I am a Gavin stan officially. Like, this was the date that really won me over with Gavin because of like how sweet this date was and the words that he says in this date. I was sold. I wanted Gavin to myself. I want a Gavin in my life. So basically, the gist of this day is you go out together on Valentine's Day and kind of hang out. And there's a point in this date where you go out shopping with him and you're trying on all these dresses. And there's a dress that Gavin really, really liked on you. And you liked as well, but you're like, oh, the price on this after you go and change later. Which I almost forgot to mention that while you're changing, I think it's like a store clerk asks like, hey, is that your girlfriend? And he's like, no, but she will be. And I was like, and I gotta give props to Joe because the way that he makes Gavin sound in this moment is so beautifully done. Like, good job, Joe. Like, it was just so incredibly sweet. And going back to what I said about the dress earlier, MC tries to hide the fact of that it was so expensive because Gavin was gonna buy it for her and she's like, no, like, that's fine, I don't want it anyway, it wasn't that great. And they kind of go on about their day and do really cute stuff, and they share like this milkshake together, and you get like this really cute visual of Gavin like being all embarrassed that he has to share it, but at the same time you can tell like he loves it too. Like, oh, it's just so cute. And by the end of this day, we find out later that Gavin ended up buying the dress for us anyway. Like, I don't know how much more sweeter this day can get. And I don't know how you cannot love this man after reading this date either. Like, there's no way you can't fall in love with Gavin after that date. Like, there's just no way. There's no way. And I have to say, I think this is definitely like my #1 favorite out of like all the other dates, just because one, this was a date that sold me with Gavin and just made me really fall in love with him. And ever since then, I haven't gone back. I've been a Gavin stan since then. The next date that I want to talk about is the trio date. So I had to include this one because we get to see jealous Gavin, and also, guess who pops into this date? Keto. And it is the most hilarious thing ever because I did not expect Keto to show up in this date, and just seeing how awkward it is because Gavin is just like staring at Keto, and it's just like they're just basically like staring at each other awkwardly, and it's just so funny. And you basically are helping out, from what I can remember, Keto with like a concert, and then things get a little bit chaotic at the end to where Gavin has to save you from falling off the stage. That, like I said, there really isn't too much going on in this date. It's just the reason why I love it is just because, one, I did not expect for Keto to show up, and two, you get to see a little bit of a jealous side from Gavin. Not that we don't already see it, but it's kind of nice to see how he gets, and you know, him having to rescue you from falling off the stage. Like, Gavin will always be there to protect you and take care of you and make you feel safe no matter what. The next one that I want to talk about, and I think this is like the first date that I had unlocked in my first Gavin SSR that I had gotten, and that is the visiting hours date. So this one is definitely like one of my favorites and one that I hold near to my heart because, again, it was one of the very first that I unlocked, and the karma is really pretty. I love seeing the visual of Gavin carrying MC on his shoulder like that. Like, seeing that karma at first, I was like, I need to know like the context of this because why is he carrying MC like that? And basically, from what I can remember, is that Gavin and MC beforehand had like this really cute date, and he was gonna go in for a kiss, but then MC sneezes on his face. And when I first read that, I was like, she did not just that kind of ruined the moment. And Gavin was like, okay, like, it's time for you to go home, get some rest, you're getting sick. And he specifically tells you not to go into work the next day. And what do? You go into work. So you basically show up at work and you're still not feeling 100% better. So then, guess who shows up at work? Our boy Gavin. He shows up and he is not looking happy. And that's when you see him kind of carry you out from your job. And everyone's just like, oh, like, what's happening, you know? Takes you home, and things get a little bit like really cute and romantic real quick, because he's basically, you see like this visual where he's like on top of MC, and he's just kind of like, you know, let's just go off by where we last left off because you kind of still owe me. And I'm like, just take me right here and now, please. And Gavin is such a tease because it seemed like he was gonna go in for the kiss and he doesn't. He just kind of tucks you into bed and he's just like, okay, just feel better, please. Like, this date was really, really sweet, and it is the moment that I was like, oh my gosh, this boy is like really, really caring and sweet. And again, this is before I got the Valentine's date. At the time, I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep my eyes peeled on Gavin because this date really also sold me. I was like, okay, I'm getting more of a sense of what he's like now. All right, moving on to the next date that I'm gonna talk about. That's my favorite. It's the blind date. Oh my god. Oh my god. So this one, you actually do have to pay to get it, but you only have to pay like $1 because it's like one of the top up rewards when I first got it, and I'm so glad I did because oh my gosh. So once again, we get to see jealous Gavin. And it is the cutest thing ever because I think if I remember correctly, your aunt like sets you up on a blind date and you're like, oh my god, I really hope no one sees me. I hope Gavin won't find out about this. I'm just doing it to make my aunt happy. And lo and behold, who do you see? Gavin and Minor. Oh, things get so awkward. I had secondhand embarrassment, I'm not gonna lie, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like why are we here? Then things get a little bit awkward, so your blind date and Gavin, if I remember correctly, because again, it's been a while, things kind of happen and you basically all end up hanging out together, and it's really, really awkward. And it gets to a point where you guys end up at the planetarium, and Gavin just looks like he's in a bad mood. And he's just not liking that you're on a blind date with this person. And you try to explain like, hey, like my aunt set me up and you know, I promise I didn't know that this was gonna happen. And Minor, being the MVP of the story, he kind of takes your blind date somewhere else. He's like, hey, let's go over here for a minute. And as they're walking away, it gives you some time alone with Gavin. And as you're trying to walk away, Gavin grabs you by the arm and he goes in for the kiss, and it is the most sweetest thing ever. You start to hear your phone ring and Gavin's just like, ignore it, they'll be fine without us. Like, how cute is that? Like, you guys can't tell me you didn't like this date. Like, this date is freaking great, man. And it's a kiss card, so what is there not to like? Moving on to the next date that I want to talk about, which is the wish date. This was basically Gavin's birthday card from last year, and pretty much from what I can remember from this card is you pretty much make Gavin a meal that you've prepared yourself, and I think you make him like a homemade gift and try to go all out for his birthday, especially since he doesn't really make a big deal out of his birthday. So she goes out of her way to make it special, and she gets a little bit messy in the kitchen to the point where she has to borrow Gavin's clothes to wear, and Gavin is pretty like embarrassed, and he's just like, you know, all blushy and everything. I can't remember exactly what happens in this day completely, but I remember that, and then when Gavin pulls you in and you guys have like this intimate moment, and when he pulls you in is when you're trying to put the mask that you made him so he could relax. You just wanted him to like relax, have a nice home cooked meal that you made. And MC made him like his favorite meal, if I remember correctly. And it was like something really spicy that she tries to like chug it down. And Gavin's like, you don't have to eat it. Like, please stop. And she's like, no, but I have to because it's your favorite. I don't know what else I can add on to that. Like, it's just overall really cute birthday date. I think, in my opinion, it's just them enjoying their time at home, at his home together, and that's all that matters. Also, we get to feed Gavin, and that's this visual that you get, and it's like the greatest thing ever. The next date that I want to talk about is the slightly drunken date. So this one, oh my gosh, you guys, I love this one, and I'm so glad that I was able to at least get the card that I needed necessary to unlock the date and not the actual SSR itself. Even though I would have loved the SSR, but your girl did not know how to play Mr. Love at the time. And from what I remember about this date is you kind of go to like this concert outside and you have a good time, and there's like one of the band members like hitting on you. Gavin obviously does not like this, gets jealous, and things happen to the point where Gavin gets up on stage and starts playing I think the guitar or bass or something like that, and everyone is like blown away. And I remember like I think there's this girl next to MC and she's like, you know, your boyfriend is really great. And she's like, yeah, I know, he's great. And it's at this point that MC realizes that she doesn't really know Gavin that well, because she's like, I didn't even know he could play. And then moving on forward, from what I can remember, is they end up walking on the beach. They're really drunk to the point where I think MC's like so tipsy. I really don't know how this happened again, because it's been a while since I read this date. But she ends up falling on top of him and they just kind of sit there together and things get really, really cute and romantic. And Gavin's gonna say something to her and she's like, stop, let me speak first. And she's like, I want to get to know you. I want to know all these sides of you. Like, I just want to see these different sides. I want to like experience them with you, and I just want you to show them to me and only me. And of course, Gavin gets super romantic with his words, and I melted in a puddle when he said this. And just the way that Joe makes Gavin sound is just so sweet. And if I remember correctly, he's basically like, you know, all these sides of me, everything that I am, it's all yours. All right, so we're on the last two dates that I want to talk about. So the next date that I want to talk about is the Mediterranean date. So this one, oh, it's so great. I actually reread this date recently and I forgot how great this date was. It is the most sweetest romantic thing ever. But what date isn't? But basically, MC and Gavin go to Santorini on vacation, and MC comes up with these really crazy activities to do. Not necessarily crazy, but stuff that she would obviously be uncomfortable doing. So they go like on the jet skis, they go scuba diving, and things do not end up as planned. Like, things just go really, really bad really quick because MC obviously is not prepared for these, and they're just, these activities are not her cup of tea. And Gavin always has to like come in and save her. Like, he basically saved her from drowning when they were scuba diving. Not scuba diving, it was snorkeling. And obviously Gavin was not happy about this, so he's like, okay, let's just go back to the hotel and rest. She's like, no, 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 let's do the jet skis. And that also ends up bad because she ends up really, really afraid. And she does not like how fast it ends up going, to the point where she's basically clawing at Gavin, and she doesn't notice it until she gets off and she's like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. And that's when he's like, you know what, let's just rest up and continue this later. And so they end up like sightseeing, and it's really cute because MC's just like taking pictures of him and taking like a lot of pictures on the way. And she takes like this really cute picture of Gavin, and he's just like really awkwardly like, I don't know how to do this. Is it like this? And she's like, just smile, do it this, this, this. And there's someone watching them, this little girl, who takes a picture of Gavin, and Gavin, obviously, you know, him being all like protective and stuff, goes into like his protective mode, and he does not like what just happened. And this little girl starts asking questions like, hey, are you a model? Like, are you a celebrity? And he's like, no. And MC's like playing along with her, and she's like, yeah, he is a model, so please support him. Support him when you see his stuff, and you know, blah, 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 like going along with it. And Gavin's like, no, stop. And then Gavin turns the tables, and because she starts asking like, hey, are you two dating? And Gavin's like, yeah, we are dating, but we're doing it in secret, so shush, we would appreciate it. And the girl basically says, you know, take care of her then and treat her well. I'll support you, your secret like love thing going on. And it's just so hilarious. And he's like, all right, like cool. And she basically tells them about like this spot that's really popular right now in this state where the sunset is supposed to be really, really pretty. She's like, my parents are there. And so MC and Gavin watch the sunset together. And then on their last day, they basically start collecting seashells. Like, they're out eating ice cream, and MC's like, I had planned for all these other stuff like paragliding, and I think it's paragliding. And Gavin was just like, he had the face of like, oh no. And she's like, but we're not doing that. I don't think I can do it. She's like, let's just do what we want to do. And so they end up on the beach looking for seashells and stuff and just enjoying their last day together. And this date, you guys, made me cry so much because of the stuff that Gavin was saying. It was just so freaking adorable. Like, I cried. I did not think I was gonna cry, but just the things that Gavin was saying was so sweet and romantic. And in the story, even MC like starts tearing up and he's like, oh no, don't cry, I'm really sorry I said that. And it's just like, no, like, don't worry about it, baby boy. But from what I remember, what Gavin said, it was basically him saying, you know, it doesn't matter what we do, all I care about is spending time with you and that we get to share these moments together now. He's like, I know we missed on a lot of opportunities and stuff at high school, but I want to make up for that now and just spend as much time as possible with you. Like, all I care about is you. And it was just so sweet. And again, props to Joe, man, because he made him sound so sweet and sincere in this moment. And it's just, it was really great. So that's why I really enjoyed that day, because it's just the words that Gavin says at the end of the day is just so sweet and romantic and sincere. Like, they just came from his heart. And it's just, it's such a pretty day. So beautiful. Which you can also redeem from the wish tree. So if you guys haven't gotten that card and you're interested, get it now because it's worth it. It's totally worth it. Last and final date that I want to talk about is To Become One date. And this one is basically the wedding date. And, you know, the wedding one is just so great. So basically Gavin's wedding date, you have like this big old photo shoot pretty much at like their version of Disney World or Disneyland, and it's so freaking cute because Minor was supposed to be like your pretend husband, but he ditches you, and again, Minor for the MVP. He asked Gavin to take his place instead. And MC at first was like really pissed at Minor for ditching it, but once she saw Gavin, she was like, okay, never mind. And it was really sweet. And once like the photo shoot was over, he takes you to like the carousel and you guys are just having fun, and it's just like a super sweet intimate moment. Basically like by the end of that date, he's just like, I really want to like say these words to you and make you my wife and say I do to you for real. Like, it is so sweet. Like, for it to be like a fake wedding, like fine, but for Gavin to say, you know, I hope this ends up being like for real someday, was just the best thing ever. Like, it is just so cute and so worth all the wish coupons I spent saving all this time. So that pretty much concludes my top 10 favorite Gavin dates. So I'm just gonna put on this highlighter real quick and I will pretty much just do my outro in a little bit. So that pretty much concludes all my favorite Gavin dates, my top 10 to be exact. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing what were my favorites and just, you know, while I do my makeup. So this is like the outcome of my blue eyeshadow look inspired by Gavin's ASMR. So yeah, without further ado, once again, I hope you guys enjoyed. Happy birthday to my best boy Gavin. Happy birthday, Bird Cop. Just my sweet wind boy. I love you so much. Please continue to protect us and love us unconditionally and continue to be who you are, the sweet, lovable, embarrassed boy that we all know and love. And with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!